14 years ago, Mara Leong disappeared without a trace. She was 25, a bartender with a bad knee and a half-written novel on her desk. She had gone camping alone in the Wormwood Mountains, something she had done a dozen times before. She remembered the stars, the brisk night air, the crackling of a fire. And then, nothing. 3 days later, she woke up 10 miles from her camp with dirt under her fingernails and blood on her thigh. No cuts. No bruises. No explanation. And she was pregnant. The doctors whispered. The news carried with her for a day or two. The mountain woman was found after her miraculous disappearance. But she refused an interview. Rejected tests. She retreated to her father's cabin in the woods and never left. The baby came quietly one rainy October night. And she named him Cal. Mara raised him well, and he learned things quickly. He studied with his mother without going to school, and once he had read it, he would remember the lesson well. Mara was very surprised and happy. He was 14 now. He stood at the edge of their garden in the blue dawn light, tall and narrow, his eyes slanting skyward as if he expected something to fall from it. He had a way of being still, as if he were listening to frequencies beyond human hearing. Mara looked out the kitchen window, her fingers curling around the coffee mug. Cal had never been sick. Never cried as a child. He had spoken his first complete sentence at 8 months. "Why is the moon broken, Mama?" She stared at him for a minute before answering. And lately, things had stopped. Things moved when he was upset. Just a little, keys slipping an inch, books falling off the shelf. And dreams. She woke up gasping, glowing slightly, her veins throbbing with light that faded as it came. She had never told anyone. Who would she tell? The breeze whispered through the trees. Cal turned his head slightly, as if listening to her thoughts, and looked directly at her. He smiled. A slow, knowing smile that comforted and unsettled her. Later that day, Mara went into town for supplies. Wormwood Ridge wasn't very big. 4 stoplights, a grocery store, and a diner where the waitress still called her honey. The people were polite, but distant. Her disappearance had long been a blur in local legend. She stopped by the post office, stepping out just as a dark green sedan pulled into the lot. A man got out. He was wearing a leather-trimmed coat, his eyes framed by mirrored glasses. Mid-40s. Clean cut. Nondescript in a way that set off alarm bells in Mara's gut. "Mara Leong?" she asked. She stiffened. "It depends. I need to talk to you. About your son." She laughed once. "Try again. I'm not here to threaten you." She raised her hands. "Just to warn you. They're coming back." Silence stretched between them like a taut wire. She stepped forward. "Who are you?" "My name doesn't matter. But I was one of them. Not them, but the program. The people who made the list of the missing. The study of hybrid phenomena." She paused. "We never expected any of them to be alive after 10. Let them stabilize." Mara's heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "You know what I'm saying. You were taken. You were altered. And your son," he lowered his voice. "He's waking up." Mara's breath caught. She opened her mouth to respond, and felt a sharp jolt in her chest, like a thunderclap behind her ribs. The man flinched too, eyes wide. "It's starting." She ran. Left her cart, the man, the car. She sprinted through town, down back roads, across a frozen field until her lungs burned and her boots slipped in the mud. Cale was lying in the grass behind their cabin, twitching. His eyes were rolled back, veins glowing faintly gold. Symbols flickered under his skin like reflections on water, alien glyphs, shifting and pulsing with each breath. "Cale!" She dropped to her knees, shaking him. "Come on, baby, come back." His mouth opened and a sound came out. Not a scream. Not a word. A tone, deep, vibrating, like 1,000 voices at once speaking through his body. And then it stopped. His eyes blinked open. "Mom," he croaked. She crushed him to her chest. That night, Mara sat by Cale's bedside as he slept. A dull blue glow still shimmered faintly in his veins, but his breathing was steady. The knock came just after midnight. She answered the door with a kitchen knife in her hand. It wasn't the man from earlier. It was a woman, tall, pale, her eyes too large and too dark. Her voice was a whisper and a hum. "You were chosen, Mara leaving." "I didn't choose this," she said flatly. "But you carried the seed. And the time of awakening has begun. What do you want?" The woman tilted her head. "Not me. He will know when the moment comes. The veil is thinning. Tell him to listen to the dreams." Mara raised the knife. "Stay away from my son." The woman blinked slowly. "It is not us you should fear." She smiled, strangely tender. "He is not the end. He is the beginning." And just like that, she turned and vanished into the trees. Mara locked the door, bolted the windows, sat in the hallway all night with a shotgun across her lap. Her son wasn't normal. He never had been. But something had shifted. The stars had started whispering again. And she was listening. The dream felt real. Not in the usual blurry way, where things melted into each other and made no sense. This was sharp, clear, cold. He stood on a platform of obsidian glass suspended in a sky full of stars. Not constellations like he knew from books or apps, but massive, pulsing clusters of color, swirling and alive. Lines of light connected them, humming softly, like nerves in a vast galactic brain. At the center of it all was a figure, tall, dressed in robes that looked like liquid shadow. Its face was a blur, but its voice cracked through Cale's skull like thunder across ice. "You are the bridge." He tried to speak, but couldn't. His body wasn't his body anymore. It flickered between his own shape and something taller, thinner, laced with light. "The human side must sleep," the voice boomed. "We must rise before the veil seals." A pressure built in his head like something trying to claw its way out. He screamed, and woke up in the woods. The trees were ancient and wrong. He stood barefoot, half-naked, in a clearing that shouldn't exist. The grass around him shimmered faintly blue under the moonlight, as if someone had spilled starlight on the ground. His breath misted in the cold, but he didn't feel it. He didn't remember leaving the cabin. His last memory was of Mom, her arms around him, her heart hammering against his ear. Now there was only silence. No birds. No wind. Just the whisper of something vast watching him. He turned slowly, and saw a figure across the clearing. It looked almost human. Almost. Its skin was translucent, veins glowing faint green beneath. No mouth. No eyes. Yet Cale could feel it inside his head. "You are not broken," it said. "You are born of purpose." He took a step back. "What are you?" "I am Father Seer. I am the strand that connects your kind and mine." "Why me?" The being tilted its head. "Because your mother chose hope. And the others chose war." Images exploded behind his eyes. 3 women. 3 children. 1 drowned in the womb. 1 tore its way out screaming and vanished at 6. The third, him, was the only one that thrived. "You are the anchor. The hybrid. The harbinger." Cale dropped to his knees, clutching his head. "I didn't ask for this." The voice softened. "No. But you were made for it. And now, the veil weakens. You must decide who you are." The forest flickered, as if reality glitched, and then he was back. His body ached as he stumbled out of the woods into the field behind the cabin. The house lights were off. Everything was quiet. He checked his arms, still human. No glowing. No flickering glyphs. But inside, he felt different. His heartbeat echoed in his ears like it belonged to someone else. His thoughts weren't alone. He opened the back door slowly. Mara was there, sitting at the kitchen table with a shotgun beside her, head bowed over a steaming mug. She looked up with eyes wide and wild. "Cale." He froze. I didn't mean to." She was up in an instant, arms around him, checking his face, his neck, his arms. "Are you hurt? Do you remember anything?" "I think I met something. Someone." He called himself the Father Seer. Cale's voice shook. "He said I'm not human. Not fully." She exhaled sharply and held him tighter. "You're my son. That's what matters." He wanted to believe that. but the words felt small against the weight rising inside him. That night, he couldn't sleep. He sat on the roof above his room, legs swinging into the air, watching the sky burn with unfamiliar stars. They were wrong. Brighter. Closer. He remembered the voice in his head. The symbols dancing under his skin. The otherness in him, no longer asleep. It was like someone had taken off a blindfold he didn't know he was wearing. Suddenly, he understood things. Star paths. Light-speed frequency bands. How to shift molecules just enough to bend heat around skin. He'd never learned these things, but they were there now, waiting. And more terrifying than all of that, he wanted to use them. The next morning, Mara barely spoke. She packed a bag with supplies. Moved like she expected the house to vanish beneath her feet at any moment. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Somewhere safe," she said. "You think they're coming?" She looked at him for a long time. "No," she whispered. "I know they are." He didn't press. He could feel her fear, like smoke in his lungs. He wasn't supposed to feel that. He could taste it. What was happening to him? By afternoon, they were driving along a logging road that led deeper into the mountains. The sky dimmed early, like dusk had arrived hours ahead of schedule. Cale pressed his hand against the window, staring at the dense tree line. Something was calling to him. Not words. Just a pull. Then, like static through a radio, a sharp spike stabbed into his mind. He gasped. The car swerved. "Cale!" Mara slammed the brakes. He clutched his head, sweat pouring down his back. His vision fractured into layers, one showing the road, another showing stars, and a third showing a tall figure standing on a mountain peak surrounded by floating orbs of light. A single phrase echoed through his skull. "They remember you." Then darkness. He woke in a sterile room. Fluorescent lights. A hum like a generator nearby. Cold metal beneath him. Not a hospital. Not a prison. Something in between. He sat up quickly, heart racing, and saw Mara across the room, handcuffed to a chair, face bruised but alive. Before he could speak, a voice rang out from behind a mirrored panel. "Good. He's awake." Another figure stepped in. White lab coat. Clipboard. Two bright eyes. "Welcome back, Cale. You've made quite the impression." Cale narrowed his eyes. "Where are we?" The man smiled. "Somewhere your father left a very long time ago." The cuffs were too tight. They bit into her wrists each time she shifted in the chair. Across the room, Cale lay on a padded cot under a pale light, eyes half open but glassy, as if still caught between dreams. Mara glared at the mirror. She could feel the watchers behind it, clinical, quiet, maybe not even fully human. The door hissed open. A woman stepped in, late 40s, sharp cheekbones, eyes like ice under glass. No ID badge, no insignia. Just a clipboard and a presence that sent chills crawling up Mara's spine. "You're awake," the woman said, glancing between Mara and Cale. "Good. Time is short. Where are we?" Mara asked, voice hoarse. "What do you want with my son?" The woman sat across from her. "Your son isn't just yours. He belongs to both species. And he's reaching the point of divergence." Mara narrowed her eyes. "English. You were abducted 14 years ago. You carried a hybrid embryo designed to anchor consciousness, alien intelligence, into a human vessel. That's your son. The first successful bridge." "No. I didn't agree to any of that." The woman's expression didn't change. "You weren't meant to. Consent wasn't the point. Viability was." Mara wanted to throw the chair at her. "He's a boy. A kid. Not some experiment. And yet here we are." They took her to a chamber below the compound. Stone walls, low light, hums and pulses of strange machinery embedded in the floor. A large window looked into a containment chamber where Cale now stood, eyes closed, arms outstretched. Glyphs shimmered along his arms again, like tattoos made of starlight. "What are you doing to him?" she demanded. "Monitoring," the woman said. "He's stabilizing. Integrating the alien inheritance." Mara's nails dug into her palms. "Why now?" The alien consciousness, the woman said, tapping her clipboard. The one that seeded your womb, it's part of a collective. A data stream intelligence. They've been trying to manifest in physical space for centuries. Mara stared at Kale. And he's, what? A doorway. Not just a doorway. A choice. The air in the room felt colder. We found 3 hybrids globally, the woman continued. Yours is the last. The first self-stabilizing subject. The others lost control. One obliterated a city block. The other vanished during a solar flare event. And you think Kale will what? Invite them in? The woman turned. He'll either allow them to manifest, or destroy the pathway. That night, they let her see him. He was strapped to a diagnostic table, glowing faintly under the lights. "Mom," he murmured. She rushed to his side, brushing hair from his face. "I'm here. I've got you. I saw more," he whispered. "In the dreams. The others like me. One of them's still alive. She's calling to me." Mara frowned. "What do you mean?" "She's hiding. Underground. Somewhere warm. She said I'm the key to ending this. Not just stopping them, but changing them. You don't have to be anything but my son." "I know," he said. "But I think, maybe I'm both." He turned his head, eyes glowing like dying stars. "You didn't just carry me. You made me feel. That's what's different. The others weren't loved." Mara's throat tightened. He looked up. "They want me to ascend. To open the veil. But something's wrong with what they're showing me. It feels empty. Like a trap." "Then don't go," she said, clutching his hand. "I don't think I'll have a choice much longer." The next morning, alarms wailed through the facility. Mara was yanked from her bunk by guards as lights flickered and strange symbols began glowing across the walls. A tremor rocked the floor. She broke free and ran, following the now familiar hum of her son's presence. She found Kale levitating inside a containment dome, limbs outstretched, light pouring from his skin. The Father Seer stood before him. Not physically, but as a projected construct, massive and echoing, made of shadow and flame. Its voice shook the walls. "You are the bridge. Fulfill your function." Kale's voice rose in defiance. "I am not your gateway." A pulse of energy exploded outward, shattering the glass. Guards screamed. Mara ran toward him. The seer snarled. "You are nothing without us." And then, Kale split. Not in body, but in aura. Half of him radiated cold, silver light, the alien pattern. The other half shimmered warm gold, human, emotional, burning with memory. He stepped forward. "No," he said. "You don't own me. I'm not your tool." The seer lunged. Kale raised his hand. And time stopped. When the light faded, they were outside. The facility was gone, flattened. Trees bent backward like they'd been hit by a blast of silent thunder. Kale stood in the ashes, pale and steady. Mara approached slowly. "Kale." He turned to her. "I saw everything," he said quietly. "The true plan. The seer didn't want to inhabit me. He wanted to erase the human half. To make me a permanent vessel. But you stopped him." "I didn't just stop him," he said. "I burned the connection. The tether's gone. I'm free." He swayed slightly. Mara caught him. "You're still my boy," she whispered, holding him close. "I'm more than that now," he said. "But you're the reason I didn't become them." He looked to the sky. "Others will come. Maybe not tomorrow. But one day. And when they do, they'll find something new waiting." He smiled faintly. "Something they didn't create. Something we made." The first time Kale heard the new signal, he was watching rain streak down the windows of their temporary safe house in Montana. Mara was asleep on the couch, a shotgun within reach and a blanket tangled around her legs. It started as a low hum in the back of his skull, like the tuning of a forgotten frequency. Not alien. Not human. Something else. He followed it. Out the door, into the pines, feet bare against the cold soil. No one stopped him. The world was too still, like it knew this was part of something sacred. The signal grew louder. Not in volume, but in clarity. Like a whisper finally finding the right language. And then he saw her. The girl from his dreams. She stood at the edge of a frozen lake, arms bare, dark hair moving in a wind that didn't touch the trees. She looked about his age, maybe younger, but her eyes were older than any humans had a right to be. "You found me," she said. "I didn't even know where I was going." She smiled. "You did. Deep down." Her name was Liz. She was the second hybrid. The one the program had lost. Only she hadn't vanished. She'd hidden. Beneath radar. Beneath sight. In between the folds of reality they never thought to look. "Your light was like a flare in the void," she said. The seers were watching. But others were listening. Kale's heart beat faster. Others. Not from their world. Not from Earth either. Something born in the breach between. A third force. A balance. Kale frowned. "I don't understand." Liz walked across the ice toward him. It didn't crack beneath her. "You burned the bridge. Closed the channel. That was your choice. But every choice births a new path." "What path?" She reached out, touching his chest lightly. "The path where we are not tools. Not weapons. But something new." Mara jolted awake. The cabin was too quiet. Kale. No answer. She grabbed her boots, her coat, her weapon, and stepped outside into a world that had shifted. The snow wasn't falling anymore. It was rising, lifting upward into the clouds like time was rewinding. And in the distance, near the lake, she saw two figures glowing faintly in the dusk. She ran. Kale turned when he felt her. Mara came skidding to a stop at the lake's edge, breath heavy, eyes wide. "Kale." "I'm okay," he said. The girl, Liz, smiled gently at her. "You kept him grounded. That's rare." Mara raised the shotgun halfway. "What are you?" "Like him. But different. I didn't get to grow up loved." Her voice was soft, not bitter. "But I still remember who I was before they came." Mara lowered the gun. Kale turned to her. "She's part of the choice." "What choice?" He looked at Liz. She nodded. And then, the stars moved. Not a metaphor. Not imagination. The constellations rearranged themselves, a new formation spiraling outward like a living map, encoded in light. And then it came. The signal. Not alien. Not hostile. Welcoming. It poured into Kale like heat and water and memory. Voices, not the seers, spoke in harmony. "You chose independence. You denied the echo. You broke the cycle." Mara stumbled back as light poured from her son's body, his veins igniting gold and violet. Liz glowed too, her eyes burning white. Between them, a ring of energy formed, hovering a foot off the ground, spinning slowly like a disk of glass. "You created possibility." Kale saw everything. A path forward. Not just for him. Or Liz. But for others. Children like them. Half-born of stars and soil. Abandoned or hunted or hidden. He saw cities untouched by war. Technology healed by organic memory. Skies reshaped with languages that could bend time. He saw hope. Not the naive kind. The hard-earned, burning kind. When he woke, it was morning. He was lying in the grass beside the lake. Mara sat beside him, bleary-eyed but calm. She handed him a thermos of coffee. "I dreamed the world changed," she said. He looked at her. It did. In the weeks that followed, quiet waves spread across the planet. Satellites began picking up signals they couldn't explain, broadcasts not from distant stars, but from beneath the Earth's crust, or from between layers of quantum frequency. People started dreaming of things they didn't know. Equations. Maps. Songs in alien dialects that turned out to be harmonic keys. Some governments panicked. Some religions wept. Some people just waited. And then the first child came forward. A boy in Norway who could make glass sing. Then a girl in Argentina who lit candles just by humming. Then another. And another. The new kind. The third wave. Mara sat on the porch, watching Kale teach a younger hybrid how to ground his energy without burning through his shoes. She still had nightmares sometimes. Of cold rooms. Of glyphs carved into bone. Of the seer's voice. But more often now, she dreamed of stars rearranging themselves like lullabies. "You're thinking again," Kale said, walking over. "I'm your mom. That's my job." He smirked. "We're not safe yet." "I know. There are others out there," he said. "The seers might be gone, but not all of them died with the signal. Some hid. Some evolved. So what happens next?" Kale looked to the sky. Where the stars had once been scattered, now there was a perfect spiral, constant, spinning slowly. "We build something new," he said. "Not just a species. A future. And if they come back..." He turned, eyes glowing faintly. "Then we show them what love built." In a lab hidden beneath the Arctic ice, something woke. Not human. Not seer. A fragment left behind. It scanned the sky, processed the new signal, paused, and then whispered, to no one and everything. The bridge was not burned. It was rewritten.